Director and filmmaker Mike Flanagan is a name that any fan of the horror genre should know by now. He's directed films such as Oculus, Ouija Origin of Evil, and Gerald's Game, as well as helming several popular Netflix series such as Haunting of Hill House and Midnight Mass. Well, Flanagan is back at it again with his recent miniseries The Fall of the House of Usher, a horror drama show based on a short story by Edgar Allan Poe. Spoilers for those who have not seen the show yet. The series follows the downfall of a rich and famous big pharma family known as the Ushers, headed by Roderick Usher and his sister Madeline. Roderick is the head of a large pharmaceutical company known as Fortunato, with Roderick and Madeline being the not-so-secret bastard children of the company's former CEO. And at the start of the series, we find Roderick Usher accompanied by his granddaughter Lenore as the funeral ceremony for Roderick's last child is held. It is revealed throughout the pilot episode that Roderick had 6 children from 5 different wives, and that by the end of the series, all 6 children will have died over a 2-week span. All of this is revealed through flashbacks as Roderick invites longtime rival August Dupin, the lead lawyer in the massive lawsuit against Fortunato, to his childhood home to divulge how all of the children died and to confess to all of his alleged crimes. Each episode revealing more and more details about not only how each of the Usher children met their fate, but also revealing secrets about Roderick's mysterious past, including how he became the CEO of Fortunato and the reason for why all these tragedies have occurred. Throughout the series, we are informed that back on New Year's Eve 1979, 2 major events happened to Roderick and Madeline Usher. The first is that on that very night, Madeline lured Fortunato's current CEO, Rufus Griswold, down to a secluded area in the building. Once there, he was drugged and awoke to Madeline and Roderick sealing him in the walls of the building, effectively killing him through suffocation with no traces of the body. The second is on that very night, the Usher siblings went to a nearby bar so they would have an alibi for that night in case questioned by authorities. However, they find more than they could have imagined as they encounter Verna, who is posing as a bartender. Later that night, Verna reveals that she is not a bartender and that they are in fact sitting outside of space and time and offers them a deal. Agree to the deal and Madeline and Roderick will become more successful than they could have ever imagined, and never worry about being caught for the murder of Rufus Griswold. However, part of that deal is that the next generation of Ushers will pay the price and meet their demise, ending the Usher bloodline as Roderick and Madeline will die as well. Despite having 2 children already, Roderick happily agrees to Verna's conditions, as does Madeline. Years later, in present day, amidst a lawsuit against Fortunato, the Usher family begins dying off one by one in mysterious accidents, and at the center of it all is Verna, interacting with each of them before they die. Essentially, what we are given with this show is the Devil at the Crossroads story brought to modern day. Now, if you've seen any of Mike Flanagan's work, whether it's something like Oculus or Haunting of Hill House, you'll know he keys in on one theme in almost all of his work: time. The past, the present, the future, and how the decisions we make as people affect not only ourselves, but everyone around us. And in no other show is that more apparent than The Fall of the House of Usher, the age-old saying of the sins of the father being brought to the limelight and in full effect. However, I believe that a lot of people are missing the point of the series, as despite the big reveal of the show being that Madeline and Roderick doomed their families with a decision they made years in the past, the real point of this series isn't about making one bad decision. Yes, the entire show and the plot that unravels is driven by Madeline and Roderick's Devil at the Crossroads moment back in 1979. But if that were really the point, the story would have been structured differently. But there's one very key scene that spells out what Mike Flanagan is trying to tell us with his latest series. The scene in question is between Roderick and his first wife, Annabelle Lee. Shown to be a good-hearted, genuinely thoughtful, and kind person, Annabelle Lee is also the mother of Roderick's first 2 children, Frederick and Tamerlane. Near the end of the story, Roderick tells August that Annabelle was at the church during Freddie's funeral. Her ghost appears to him, and the dialogue they share is, to me, what Flanagan is trying to tell us. In this scene, Annabelle Lee, through tears, tells Roderick that whenever people asked her why he was able to take the kids away from her so easily, she always said, "He's rich." But she sees now that he was never rich. He had money, but he was empty. And despite all the money and resources, despite winning over the kids through riches and gold, because he was empty, he had nothing to fill those kids with. No love or kindness, just a hunger for approval and wealth and fame. See, the horror of what Roderick did doesn't lie in the selfish and nearsighted decision he made in the bar on New Year's Eve. It wasn't his deal with the devil. It was raising 6 children and filling them with nothing but egos and an abundance of arrogance. All 6 children throughout the series are shown to have opportunities to redeem themselves. Their deaths are imminent and unavoidable, but their character is brought into question and effectively answered. All 6 Usher children are self-absorbed, materialistic, and in some cases downright cruel, and in return their deaths are cruel and painful, with the exception of Lenore, Roderick's granddaughter, who Verna grants a quick and painless death, because Lenore was the only Usher who was kind and generous, the only Usher who showed a good heart. See, Roderick's future and his family's future was decided on that day. His decision was made and the fallout was imminent. However, the life he chose to lead after that night, the man he chose to become, and the father he chose to be changed the course of his children's lives. So when the time came for Verna to collect her debt, his children had not lived full lives filled with happiness, love, and warmth. Instead, they led cold, shallow, and selfish existences up until the day they died. And just like Madeline and Roderick, they died empty and alone. We as people make decisions every day that range from what type of cereal we'll have for breakfast, to what college we'll attend, who we'll marry, what job we pursue. Every decision we make impacts our lives and our futures. Every moment of our lives make us into the people we are today and the people we will be. But our lives, our futures, and the lives of those around us are not just impacted by one decision, no matter how big or small. It's a collection of decisions, a collection of moments that form us into who we are as people. Roderick didn't doom his family on one decision, but the millions of decisions he made after that. Every decision bleeding into the next, never course correcting, becoming the titan and monster we see in present day. Just like Roderick, the decisions we made yesterday do impact us, but they don't define us. What defines us is the decisions we make every day going forward. So when the day comes when death knocks on our door, we know if we'll die empty and cold or full of love and warmth. Well, that is it, guys. Thanks for watching as always, and if you liked this video, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you want to hear more from me, and click the little bell notification so you get notified when I post new content. And as always, I'll see you guys on the next video.